Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. Today was, today was filled with Boycott, JP Morgan Chase. We had Grant Cardone closing his account with JP Morgan Chase. We had Jack Mallers they actually closed his account without him wanting to close the account. But there's a lot of stuff going on with JP Morgan Chase. We'll take a look at what's going on there as far as why the boycott's in place, why is JP Morgan at the crosshairs of the community here. And obviously they're attacking MicroStrategy, Bitcoin as well. We'll get into all that here. We also have some good news stories as well, potentially. We'll also talk about a little bit on, we touched on this a little bit on Friday. We talked about the possibility of having data centers in space. There's actually been some news about this earlier this month here that I wasn't aware of. We'll cover that really quick, just to kind of give you guys a little bit more background behind it, I guess, as far as initial testing is going on and what the potential could be going forward as well. Okay, so there's that. A bunch of good news stories as well. We'll take a look at how the miners did against Bitcoin as well this past week, which wasn't great. Bitcoin didn't do that great either, but Bitcoin is bouncing right now as well, so that's good news there. And it looks like the army right now is in full-fledged fight mode against, anybody that's against Bitcoin. So that might be a good thing here, but let's get into it here. As always, not financial advice for only. Do your own research, full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously here. And let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin really quick as well. We'll take a look at the miners, how they're doing right now in the pre-market hours. But Bitcoin right now is having a pretty good run here, at least Sunday. Saturday we were down a little bit. Sunday we were up approximately 2.51%. So we closed at 86,808 and change there. We're up a little bit here on the new day for Monday as well. We're at right now 87,509. So that's looking pretty good so far right now. And tomorrow's going to be definitely interesting there. As far as Ethereum here, Ethereum is also doing pretty good. Ethereum had a pretty good weekend. It was up a little bit on Saturday. Sunday was up a little bit as well, 1.18%. And today it's actually bouncing quite nicely, 2.11% right now as it is on that one. Obviously, the miners were not trading over the weekend, but they are now starting to trade pre-market hours. And here's what we have for those guys right now. BitDeer is up 3.89%. Bitfarms is up 7.81%. So, right, the miners are kind of pumping here a little bit pre-market hours. Kango is down right now 1.55%. Cypher is up 5.09%. Cleanspark here is up 5. Let's see, where does it end up at? Come on, 5.65% pre-market. We got Core being up 1.22%. Hive being up 5.53%. Hut 8 being up 5.94%. IREN here being up right now. Let's see where this one finishes out at right now. That one's got a lot of trading going on here. Come on, catch up. This might take a couple of seconds for it to catch up to where we are right now. Let's see, we're at 22. Come on. Man, there's a lot of trades going on there. Okay, there we go. 4.54% for IREN. Mara is up right now. I should probably just refresh the page, probably be faster than waiting for it to catch up here. It is up 5.06%. Riot Platforms is right now up 4.25%. And TeraWolf here is right now, let's see, refresh. Come on. There we go. It is up 3.1%. So a lot of the miners are doing it actually pretty good here pre-hours. So we'll see how that translates into tomorrow. We've seen this in the past where they do pretty good pre-market hours, but then in the morning hours, they go in the green and then they end up being in the red here. Right? So we'll take a look at how that plays out tomorrow here. Bitcoin right now for the month of November is down 20.38%. Bad month for us here, not only in Bitcoin, but also Bitcoin miners. Obviously, some shenanigans have been going on here, we think. Bitcoin ETF inflows here. We got an ad that we got to close here. We had actually IBIT, BlackRock outflows on Friday of 122 million there. Overall, though, the other ETFs did pick up the slack there, and we were up a positive 238 million overall. But in the past couple days here, weeks even, we've been mostly in the red here. Like the last 2 to 3 weeks, nothing but red has been coming up here for us, unfortunately. The Fed tool here, right now we're pricing in a 25% basis or 25 basis point cut in December as being at 71.5% there. So that's looking pretty good there. And then some of the stories that we do have here. So talked about this on Friday a little bit. We had one person or maybe two people that were kind of skeptical of this, that eventually AI data centers will be moving into the outer space. But we actually have now a test case where they're testing just this past month, actually, they launched a satellite into space to test for, how well will that work going forward here. So StarCloud 1 satellite reaches space with NVIDIA H100 GPU now operating in orbit. So about the size of a small refrigerator, the 60-kilogram satellite features the first NVIDIA H100 GPU in space. Based on Astro Digital's CORZ microbus, the expected mission lifetime is 11 months, after which the satellite will deorbit from its 325-kilometer orbit and burn up. StarCloud 1 is primarily a test satellite, but NeoCloud Caruso, so if you know Caruso is the one that's behind Stargate, which is obviously a venture there with OpenAI, Oracle as well. Is it SoftBank, I think, is part of it as well, right? They're building out, I believe it's like 4.5 or 5 gigawatts site in Texas there. But they plan to offer limited access from early 2027 in a partnership with StarCloud there. So that's actually not that far away, basically a year and a half. We don't know exactly, maybe 2 years at the most. But this is going forward here. Should the tests go as planned, StarCloud hopes to build significantly larger data centers in space and has pitched deploying a 5 gigawatt data center satellite powered by a 4 square kilometer solar array, which is huge, right? So if they can't get the power down here on Earth that they need for AI, they're going to put it up in space, right? We've seen obviously Amazon talk about this as well. We've seen Elon Musk talk about it as well, that he wants to do like 100 gigawatts a year potentially in space for AI data centers. This is all moving forward for us, whether we like it or not. I actually love it. Definitely would love to see more of this stuff happening here on our own little planet. But I think we will get obviously what we can out of the planet here, that whatever available power that we do have will be used up for AI, and the rest is going to be probably going to space while we're still building out here. Okay, Jeff Bezos, Amazon's founder and the owner of Blue Origin, last month said that he believes there will be a gigawatt data centers in space in the next 10 plus years, while former Google CEO Eric Schmidt this year said that he acquired a rocket company, Relatively Space, to put data centers in orbit. I mean, it's happening, which I love, right? So you may not think it's happening and it's BS or whatever, but you got proof right here that it is happening, and you got major players getting into the space right now as it is. We are going to have data centers out in space here within the next, I would say, 5 to 10 years. In the meantime, we're going to obviously take up all the megawatts that we do have available here on our little blue pearl floating in space. All right, so there's that. I also looked at really quick just as far as how efficient are the solar panels up in space. And you guys might not be able to see this. Maybe I can zoom this in a little bit for you guys here. But I did just a quick AI question for Google Gemini there. So it says here, solar panels in space generate significantly more electricity than those on Earth because they are exposed to more powerful unfiltered sunlight. For instance, panels on the ISS generate between 84 and 120 kilowatts, enough to power over 40 homes, while space-based solar power systems could generate gigawatts of power, a key factor in the solar constant, which is about 1,361 watts per square meter in orbit compared to the 1,000 watts per square meter used to rate panels on Earth here. Okay, so that's definitely a huge improvement there. So yeah, it definitely makes more sense to put it out in space if you can. You definitely get more output from the solar panels at that point, and you can build out these kind of data centers if you really wanted to here. Okay, now let's get into some of the stuff that's going on X here. The first one we have here is some good news here. This is by 2030 AI infrastructure demand could grow more than 30x. Deloitte, I think this is Deloitte and Touche, estimates that power demand from AI data centers could grow more than 30-fold, reaching 123 gigawatts, up from 4 gigawatts in 2024. This could be obviously bullish for IREN, Cypher, and others as well in this space that are building out right now. So that's great news for the space that we are in. And also, Michael Saylor just announced Strategy is still buying Bitcoin. He won't back down. And this actually goes hand in hand with the controversy, whatever you want to call it, with JP Morgan Chase here. Okay, so that's part of it here. Next year, we can see Fidelity predicts that one Bitcoin will be worth $1 billion by 2038. That would be a great retirement for me if that's the case here. I could definitely retire quite wealthy at that point if that was going to be the case. I'd love to see it right here by 2038. I mean, we're basically looking out, 12 years roughly? In 12 years, I'll be 60 at that point. So that would be a great retirement for me. And then also a nice setup for the rest of my kids here for the rest of their lives potentially as well. So love to see that happen. But that's great news there. And then this is obviously just a rumor here. Elon Musk secretly is buying huge amounts of Bitcoin here. Why could he be buying Bitcoin? Well, could be the things going on with JP Morgan Chase. Could be that. Could be also where Bitcoin has come down quite tremendously here in the last 3 to 4 weeks, right? From a high of 126,000 now down to, well, it got to a low of 80,000. So maybe that's the reason partially for it. But he also sees that the system that we have right now with the banks and everything is like they debank you for whatever reason they want, right? And you have no control over it. So maybe that's part of it also. Who knows? Next here, we have this breaking. Coinbase just withdrew over 18 billion in BTC from their hot wallets. It's time, basically. Bull market's starting to wake up again here in Bitcoin possibly, which is great news if that is the case. And then we have this also, Bitcoin bottom signal. Exchange outflows just printed one of the largest spikes in history. Every major outflow event on this chart marked the start of a huge leg up. So this would be great for us, right? Bitcoin going back up, potentially the miners going back up, especially the ones that have AI as well. I think will benefit from this going forward. So this is all good news. We may have bottomed out here in the last week. Time will only tell. Could we be wrong about that? Sure. We won't know until we are past this. And then here also, overnight 630,000 BTC were removed from exchanges. Someone knows something. Do they know something? I mean, that's definitely a huge amount that was just taken off exchanges there. Do they know something going forward? Is this whole cabal of shorting Bitcoin and MicroStrategy done and over with and we go up higher from here? Possibly. But it is definitely, we're seeing the signs of it happening here right now as it is. Okay, you can see that on the chart there. And then this. Just a billionaire Grant Cardone just canceled his Chase account and withdrew all his money. Don't F with Bitcoin. So this goes with JP Morgan Chase there, obviously. And I think the rest of the stories that we do have here is around that. So this is obviously been blowing up here on X today, which I've been just kind of watching it, paying attention to what's going on there. And it is getting a little crazy there. People are furious. People are PO'd tremendously here with JP Morgan Chase, and they've had enough here. It looks like a lot of people are going to be closing their accounts, pulling their money out, going to other services here. Right here, JP Morgan has kicked the cyber horden's nest. Grant Cardone posted, "I just pulled 20 million from Chase and suing them for credit card malfeasance." Okay, that's interesting there, which is obviously interesting to note that this is also happening relatively within the last day or two on that. All right, and then we have this. Jack Mallers on JP Morgan. "I don't care what Jeffrey Epstein, banker, has to say about Bitcoin." So he's talking about basically JP Morgan was the bank of choice for Jeffrey Epstein, and they held on to him for a long time, even though he was, I believe he was found guilty of something there, right? Something having to do with underage kids. I'm not exactly sure there. I don't follow it too closely, but I think it was something to do with that. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But yeah, so this is part of it, but it's also a reason why he's doing it is because JP Morgan Chase has debanked him basically, which goes into some of the next things that we have here as well. Breaking 21 CEO Capital or CEO Jack Mallers just accused JP Morgan of debanking his family. Big banks are attacking Bitcoin, shameful. And he got a letter. I believe this is the next post that we have here. Yep, here it is. Jack Mallers framed the JP Morgan Chase account closure letter they sent him. So here's the letter. This is from Chase here. This was dated back on September 2nd of 2025. "We have decided to close your accounts. Dear Jack Mallers, after careful consideration, we have decided to close your accounts. We understand this is disruptive and want to share more information with you about our responsibilities as financial institution. During the course of ongoing monitoring, we identified concerning activity of your account or account that you are associated with under the Bank Secrecy Act and other regulations. Financial institutions have the obligation to periodically review our customer relationship." Basically, if Jack Mallers was sending cash from his account to Coinbase, Gemini, whatever it might be, Binance, and buying Bitcoin, that was probably the trigger that triggered it there. We don't know for a fact, but that's kind of what we're assuming there. "We are committed to regulatory compliance and ensuring the security and integrity of financial systems. Because of this commitment, we may not be able to open new accounts for you in the future. Here's what you need to know and do. Share this information with others listed on the accounts. Destroy all cards and checks associated with the accounts. Cancel all automated deposits. Contact merchants that automatically bill or withdraw from the account. and make other payment arrangements, right? Mortgages and HELOCs, things are not part of this. But yeah, I mean, has Jack Mallers done anything illegal? No. So this is part of that whole story about JP Morgan Chase having a going to war against Bitcoin here, because why? Bitcoin obviously is a threat to them. It is a huge, huge threat to the banks here going forward, and they know it. So they're trying to silence, get rid of people that might have an impact on Bitcoin. Obviously, Jack Mallers is a huge proponent of Bitcoin. We know that for many, many years here, and this is just a continuation of that. Trump's family was also debanked, right, during the past couple of years as well. And that's why the Trump family is so big into Bitcoin and crypto and all that, because you cannot be debanked on those platforms here. So I do own, well, I shouldn't say I own. I have some credit cards on Chase. I am definitely looking to possibly, I'm not going to possibly cancel those or close those accounts because there's sizable amounts there and would have an impact on my credit score if I close those because of the, well, I'm not going to get into it, but basically, the more credit you have in the last year you're using, you have a better credit score, right? So I'm not going to do that, but I will definitely not be using Chase credit cards going forward. I'll be using some other credit cards that I have, or maybe even sign up for like this is not sponsored or anything like that. I've seen pretty good reviews of the Gemini Bitcoin credit card, which you get a percentage back in Bitcoin. And I think Coinbase also does that as well. So maybe I'll look into getting one of those two there. If you guys have one of those, let me know what your thoughts are on it. Definitely would love to hear that. Okay, but yeah, Chase has definitely stirred up the hornet's nest here. And then this is also developing. Huge numbers of users are reportedly rushing to close their accounts at JP Morgan after the bank's attack on strategy, its targeting of Bitcoiners, and its latest data leak. Actions have consequences. So, yeah, I mean, you F around, you find out, right? This is what you get. So I do not feel sorry for JP Morgan Chaser and Jamie Dimon at all. And then billionaire Max Kaiser just said JP Morgan have a big strategy short position that can bankrupt them if MicroStrategy pumps 50%. Not sure if this is true or if, what the merit is behind it. But if it is true, and if MicroStrategy does pump 50% here, it could be bad for them. I'm sure they're going to be probably winding that out relatively quickly here if they haven't already started already. So that'll be interesting to see how MicroStrategy does tomorrow. Actually, we probably should have looked at that one to see how it's doing in pre-market hours right now. But if that is the case, it would be wise for them to unwind that short position quickly because they have stirred the hornet's nest here. And lastly here, this is possibly why Bitcoin has been going up. This is from Bull Theory. I don't know how much truth there is to it, but it kind of makes sense here a little bit. Okay, so let's read this. We're going to go through this. It's relatively long, but we're going to go through it one thing at a time here. So the real reason behind the October 10th October crash is finally out. And it's much bigger than what people thought. For weeks, traders kept asking the question, why did the markets collapse so violently on October 10th when there was no macro event, no ETF news, no exchange failure, nothing, right? It was just out of the blue here. Now we have the missing piece, and it explains a lot. Number one, MSCI quietly dropped a major update on October 10th. On the same evening the crash began, MSCI released a consultation note that almost nobody in crypto paid attention to. MSCI said that they are reviewing how to classify companies whose main business involves accumulating Bitcoin or digital assets. The key proposal was if digital assets equals 50% or more of a company's total assets and the company's operating activity resembles a digital asset treasury, that company can be excluded from MSCI global indexes. This directly puts several Bitcoin-heavy companies at risk, especially MicroStrategy. Why this matters. So if MSCI excludes these companies, index funds are forced to sell. Funds tracking MSCI indices must remove these stocks. They do not get to choose. This is literal forced institution selling, and then MicroStrategy becomes a primary target. If MicroStrategy is labeled fund-like, MSCI index funds could be forced to reduce or exit positions, right? So that can make sense there. And then when MicroStrategy dumps, BTC reacts immediately. Like it or not, MSTR is treated as a leveraged Bitcoin proxy, which that is the case, right? That's the reason people get into it, because they believe they can get a higher MNEV than what they hold, right? So if they can get 1.2, 1.3 or something like that, or even higher at times, then yes, MicroStrategy is treated like a leveraged Bitcoin proxy there. If the stock shows weakness, confidence drops, Bitcoin correlation increases, retail panic accelerates, liquidations start hitting, BTC falls harder, right? Which is kind of what we saw here. How this connects to the October 10th crash? Well, the market was already fragile. Trump news tariffs, right? That didn't help. So we were thinking maybe that was the reason why. Weak NASDAQ, high leverage in BTC markets. That was for sure the case there. Fear of a 4-year cycle top, right? We've heard that this whole year, that Bitcoin's going to be having another 4-year cycle like it has in the past. We topped out at 126,000. We're going to be going down, right? So that fear was definitely there. When MSCI's note dropped, it added a new type of structural risk that traders did not expect. The fear was simple. If MicroStrategy or similar companies get removed from MSCI, large funds will be forced to sell. What happens to Bitcoin then, right? So if large funds are forced to sell, other companies might be forced to sell as well. You get this kind of snowball effect happening here. This fear hit right into an already stressed market. The result, one of the biggest liquidation waves in crypto history. But there's another layer. JP Morgan's timing. 3 days ago, JP Morgan published a bearish report highlighting the same MSCI risks right when MSTR was weak, BTC was weak, liquidity was thin, sentiment was fragile. This amplified panic, causing a 14% dump in a few days, which obviously we saw here on Bitcoin and everything else that had ties with Bitcoin. And if you know JP Morgan's history, you know this pattern. They speak bearish when prices are weak. They accumulate assets when retail is scared. They publish bullish notes near tops. Their timing is never random. This is not a secret. This is standard Wall Street behavior. And we have seen this before. I've said this many, many times. Do not listen to what they say. Watch what they do. It is the same thing not only with JP Morgan Chase, but with others as well. They will use the market to their advantage as best as they can. They will manipulate it to their best advantages as well, and within the realm of the laws, right? So always be mindful of that. Number 5 here, is JP Morgan manipulating the market? Not illegally, but strategically, yes. And that's the same thing I've been saying. Watch what they do, not what they say. This is how big institutions operate. Push fear when liquidity is low, trigger panic, let weak hands sell, accumulate at discount, turn bullish later. They've done it with metals. They've done it with bonds. They are doing it with Bitcoin. This is not a cartel. This is Wall Street's strategy, and I agree 100% there. Number 6, now the plot twist. Michael Saylor's responds quickly right when MSCI fears started dominating headlines. Saylor dropped a detailed clarification. MicroStrategy is not a fund, not a trust, not a holding company. It is a publicly traded operating company with 500 million software business and a Bitcoin-based treasury strategy, right? So it kind of debunks all of those concerns there. He also highlighted 5 new digital credit instruments: STRK, STRF, STRD, STRC, and STRE. 7.7 billion notional value issued this year. Stretch, STRC, the first Bitcoin-backed variable yield credit instrument, ongoing software operations and financial product innovation. So his message was simple. We are not passive holders. We are builders. We are innovating. Index labels do not define us. So that is great. Number 7 here. So what does this all mean for the market? October 10th crash was not random. It aligns exactly with MSCI's consultation release. Forced selling fear created liquidity stress. Traders panicked because they assumed index funds might eventually dump large positions. JP Morgan amplified the fear. Their bearish note came at the perfect moment to shake markets further. Okay, Saylor finally cleared the air. His statements explained why MicroStrategy is fundamentally different from what MSCI is describing, but uncertainty remains. Final MSCI decision comes on 15th of January 2026. Policy goes into effect February 2026. Between now and then, the market may price in more volatility, which I would agree there if that's the case there. But if MicroStrategy can lay out a concrete statement, path, whatever it might be, declaration that they are not to be viewed that way, they might be able to obviously escape that. Final take, the market did not crash because of a single event. It crashed because of an unexpected structural risk hit an already fragile system. And large institutions use that moment to shape sentiment. But the long-term picture is simple. Bitcoin adoption has unchanged, right? Corporate interest unchanged. Saylor remains on track. Institutions still building. ETF flows will stabilize. Liquidity cycles will return. MSCI classification will not stop Bitcoin, which I believe is also the case there. Fear creates opportunity. Narratives create volatility, but fundamentals do not change. This is why the October 10th crash was violent and why it will be remembered as a technical panic, not a fundamental breakdown, which I also agree. Right? It was definitely a shift in the quick sentiment of investors and institutions and things like that based on this that came out here, right? They're pointing it to the letter here. If we zoom in, I can't zoom in on this anymore, I don't think. But this is definitely when the clarification came out here, it looks like, or the declaration came out. And you can see here within I'm not sure what the timeline on this is. 15-minute chart. You can see how that definitely played an impact there relatively quickly. All right, so that was definitely interesting there. So that's kind of how it all plays into it all. You had strategy being hit by MCSI. You had then JP Morgan Chase opportunistically, being bearish when things are down already to bring things down even more. So it was just a cascading effect, weak sentiment in the markets overall, fears of Trump tariffs as well. That all played into it, and we got what we got. Hopefully that is the end of it and it gets cleared up here. And hopefully, JP Morgan Chase takes a big hit on the chin there from this. And because they have obviously PO'd a lot of people in this space, the attacks that they've been doing and the manipulation and things like that. So we'll see how that plays out going forward. We'll keep an eye on it. But overall, this is probably really, really good news for Bitcoin and the miners as well going forward here. But time will tell, right? Can we bounce from where we have bottomed out at 80,000? I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping that's the bottom. RSI has been crazy low. It's been the lowest since we've seen in a couple of years. And then also the fear and greed index has been the lowest that we've seen in a long time as well. So it all points to a local bottom, at least here. And then where do we go from here? Right, we could go much higher. We could go back to 126, 130,000, 150,000, or we could go up to 115,000 and go back down lower. We don't know. It just depends on what these guys here in the institutions, the powers that be, how will they, put out this narrative going forward. So we are a little bit at their mercy, unfortunately. And yeah, I'm still bullish long term. Things are looking still really good here for us. Nonetheless, we've obviously had a huge correction here. It hasn't been huge. It's been 34, 36% on Bitcoin, which we have seen in the past as well within the last year and a half, where Bitcoin has done that twice already. So this is another part of it maybe. And if you recall, going back to the 2021 cycle, we had like 5 or 7 of these corrections. Bitcoin still continued to go up higher here. So that's why I'm still thinking this is going to be an extended cycle, but time will tell if that is correct. Thinking on it, or if I was completely wrong on it. All right, so there's that part of it. Let's get into just what we do have here is obviously the performance of the miners here over the last 52 weeks from their bottoms and where they are now from their 52-week highs as well. And then how did they do last week compared to Bitcoin? Okay, so here's what we got. IREN still up huge, still at 24%. We really shouldn't be complaining here with IREN. If you had IREN, you bought it much lower, you're doing really good still. Ciphers, it's still up 660%. TeraWolf up 448%. Bitfarms even 261%. Hut 8 is up 242%. Core up 137%. Hive 129%. Riot 105%. Cleanspark at 50%. BitDeer at 50% as well. Bitcoin is up only 14%. Kengo is up 11.2, Marathon 3.7, and Strategy up 2.5 from their lows here. Okay, so definitely Strategy, Marathon have not done great this past year from their 52-week lows. And you can see how far away some of these guys are from their 52-week highs as well, which is down here on this chart below. All right, looking down here, if we look at this last week, it wasn't a great week, not only for Bitcoin, but also for the miners for the most part. Some of them fared better than others, but overall, it was a rough week, right? Marathon was down 16 along with Kango. Strategy was up down 15. Hive was down 13. Cleanspark was down 11. Bitcoin was down 10%. And I track it Friday to Friday. So just so you guys know, Riot was down along with IREN 9%. Hut 8 was down 7%. Bitfarms was down 6%. BitDeer down 2%. Cypher was down 1%. CORZ was down 1%. And the only one that was actually in the green here looks like TeraWolf. TeraWolf was up 3% for the week. That one fared the best here. All right, looking at the 4 weeks, things look even worse, right? So basically, this all started about 4 weeks ago, roughly. And you can see everybody's down quite a bit here. Bitcoin's down 22%, and then has anybody performed better than that? No. Everybody has underperformed Bitcoin here in the last 4 weeks. Biggest losers were BitDeer down 54%, followed by Marathon and Cleanspark being down 45%, Hive down 44%, others down 30-some% here. Best one that has fared so far looks like Cypher only being down 24%, TeraWolf being down 27%, and IREN being down 30%. Those are the ones that have contracts already with AI plays, right? So those have done pretty good here. Where's Core, 32%, right? So pretty close to that. Those guys have performed pretty well. Going to 8 weeks, we can see that we're still down quite a bit from 8 weeks ago as well on these guys here. Strategy is down the most, 52%. BitDeer, 47%. Bitcoin is down 30% here. And we got some of the miners Like IREN being down 16, Hive being down 14, Bitfarms down 19, Cypher being down only 4, Core down 17, and Turtle down 5%. And then from 12 weeks ago, we should see obviously some of these guys here being up huge here. So from 12 weeks ago, they are looking much better. Bitcoin still down 23% from 12 weeks ago, but we got IREN up 62%, HUT up 35%, Bitfarms up 88%, along with Cypher up 88%, Turtle up 24%. So these guys have done better. Even Cleanspark, Hive has done better. But you got Strategy, Kango, and Marathon underperforming there as well on this. So kind of interesting to take a look at that. And then when you look at this table down below, you can see obviously a heck of a lot more red here than we have seen in the past. And you can see red week, basically red week. We've had the last 4 weeks pretty much being all red here for Bitcoin. I mean, especially if you look at Bitcoin here. We've had, 1 week out of the last 5 that were in the green. If you look to 8 weeks, we've had 2 out of, right? So we've had 6 weeks in the red. And if you go back out 10 weeks, we've had 8 weeks in the red and only 2 weeks in the green here. So it has not been a pleasant experience or a pleasant ride here in the last 12 weeks or so. For Bitcoin, some of the miners have performed better, but yeah, hoping for much better results here going forward. The only big thing is that we got going on this week. There's some data coming out from the U.S. government. We also have some quarterly results from, actually it's going to be fiscal year-end results for Cleanspark happening on Tuesday. We'll see what those numbers come in at, and what they're talking about as far as their growth going forward with AI, data centers, and things like that. We'll cover that on Tuesday. And then we are getting close to, obviously, it's going to be a short week. I think the markets are going to be closed Thursday, and I think they're going to be closed on Friday, maybe a half day on Friday for the Thanksgiving holiday. So it should be a short week there. And then we get into basically December. And December historically has not been a great month for Bitcoin here. If we look at it, where is it at? Where do I have it? I think it's this one here. Right, historically, December has not been a great month for us. We have obviously a lot of people and institutions selling at the end of December to lock in their gains or whatnot. So we typically see that at that point, and then they also rebalance their portfolios and things like that happening in December. So we'll see how December plays out, but can it be any worse than November? Who knows? We'll see on that one. Historically, it's been December has been hasn't been too bad. Well, early on it was worse, right? 2013 we're down 34%, 2014 we're down 15%, and then we had 2018 down 5, 2019 down 5. 2021, we're down 18, almost 19. 2022, we're down 3.5%. Last year, we're down only 2.8. So it hasn't been too bad, at least at that point. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm tired. Today I was working outside and, just cleaning up the yard, preparing it for winter and things like that. I was just working outside all day. So I'm a bit beat right now as it is. All right, that's all I got for you guys. Let's get into Q&A. See what you guys have to say as always. And if you could preface the questions with a question mark, I would greatly appreciate it here. But we'll see how this whole debacle with JP Morgan Chase plays out going forward here. Right, that's going to be interesting to watch in the next week as that plays out. All right, let's see what else we have here. We talked about that. Okay, let's see, where do we want to start here on the questions? Okay, Andrea, thank you so much. Remember to hit the like button. I appreciate that. Thank you. Ryan says, thanks, Seb, for the consistency throughout all this. You're very welcome. I mean, I'm sure you guys are just as interested as I am, if not more so. So I love coming in here, chatting with you guys on this stuff. Let's see, Carol says, I mentioned photonics before. This will make DCs in space realistic and have near zero latency speed of light data transfer. Okay, that's interesting. We'll have to take a look at that one, see what they're about. Let's see here. Cyclops says we should make them agree to pay for any space debris pickup ahead of time. So you're talking about if they do data centers up in space, that any debris that's up there, they need to pick it up or something like that to clean up. I mean, eventually there's going to be companies that will be out there just to clean up the space debris, space junk, right? And I think they're already working on that stuff as well. All right. Tom says, I'm new to Cleanspark. Do you think we can see 10% rise in the next couple of 10% rise in the next couple of years? I think we can see more than that if they do well on their HPCI business. Well, let's see. Rob asks, what is up with closure of people's bank accounts by Chase? Well, that's right. If if you have any kind of money going into like Coinbase or Gemini or Binance or whoever your preferred crypto exchanges, right? We've seen stories of people being debanked for that alone because they think that you're skirting the system, that somehow you're, evading whatever it might be. Um, I had a hard. I thought things would be better by now in 2025 than they were just 7 years ago, when a friend of mine and I were starting to do our Bitcoin mining, right, with the little small farm that we had. It was hard as hell trying to get a bank to let us open up an account. Uh, right, we went through a couple banks, and then I think it was Chase wouldn't do it. For Chase just said flat out, nope. Bitcoin, nope, you're not doing that. We went through other banks, and I think the bank that we did have was Bank of America. Bank of America said, yeah, sure, but they just wanted to know how are we tracking and protecting customer data. Like, there is no customer data. It's just all Bitcoin transactions on it. There's no customer data at all whatsoever on it. So we finally landed on one. So that definitely helped out. But it was definitely a process at that point. And I'm still amazed that this is still the case here with it, right? Whatever the heck I do with my money should be my business. If I want to blow it on, okay, if you have kids, close your kids' ears in the interim. If I want to spend it on, adult entertainment, adult, whatever it might be. Oh gosh, I don't want to get too detailed here, but you guys basically know what I mean, right? Or if I want to do anything that's legal, but maybe not through the United States standards or something, things like that, right? I should be able to do those things. Whatever I spend my money on, I should be able to do it. Just like if I want to go to the bank and take out $10,000 or more, I shouldn't have to explain what am I using that money for. It's none of their freaking business. If I want to spend the money on Taiwanese, you know what I mean, right? Anything like that, it should be up to me. I'm an adult. I should be able to do that. If I'm not hurting anybody because of that, that should be none of their business, right? So that's kind of my stance on it. That's why I love Bitcoin and other cryptos as well, is because you don't have to explain yourself to them. I'm an adult. I should be able to do things that I want to do, regardless, right? It's my cash, my money. You have it in the bank. That's fine. You guys are making money off of it because you're doing, loans on it because I put in $100. You guys are using $90 of that to do loans. Okay, fine. That's fine. But I should be able to have access to my money whenever I want. That's just my take on it. Okay. Let's see. Talked about that. Rob asked, what is Chase? I'm Canadian. Chase is a huge bank here in the United States for us. All right. Pitcher, hello, Seb. Question, any estimate on Cleanspark upcoming earnings? I don't think they'll still be able to create a positive EPS from operations without the impact of FSB. Okay. The reason I say that is because they obviously hired on some people here in the last couple months, which I think were still part of Q4 for them, which was our Q3. So that should probably increase their SG&A, unless they brought cost out of everything else. I'd love to see a positive EPS without FSB impact, but I don't know if we're going to see it here. Okay, so as far as where will they be, there'll be positive EPS with FSB. That I'm pretty sure of. Big thing that I'm looking forward to is obviously what is their guidance going forward for HPCI business? What kind of details can they provide us on the current sites that they do have? What feasibility do those sites have as far as AI potential as well? So all those things I'll be looking forward to in the conference call there. All right. Let's see. I cannot pronounce your name, so I do apologize here. Do you think Hive is set for $20? They have upgraded their HPC targets for next year. $20. Let me see. Where do I have them at right now? Hive. I love Hive. Hive does a great job. They've done a great job here growing this year. They've been also very efficient in their operations. I currently have them between 880 and 1320 with the current numbers that we do have here for what they could be getting for AI and things like that. My big concern, well, not really concern, is just I think maybe a drawback to them is they don't have any operations here in the United States. That might, I'm saying it might, I'm not sure that's going to be the case here, but I'm saying might be a detriment to them as far as stock price appreciation, right? Could they still do very well? Yeah, I think they should be somewhere between 880 and 1320. If they had operations in the United States, I think they could go up even higher at that point, right? But they don't currently. So that's kind of where I see things right now. Rob, how is BTC a threat to banks? Well, I mean, I can send you Bitcoin right now without having an intermediary between us, right? It's all based on trust. It's trustless, basically, or trust. So I can send you Bitcoin. I can send $500 million of Bitcoin if I wanted to without having to have the bank approve it. And I can send it pretty much instantly for much less than what it would cost me to send it through a bank wire or something like that. So that's the reason why. That's why they see it as a threat. All right. They don't have the control over it. They can't tell you no, right? If they don't agree with what you're doing, right, they don't have control. So that's the reason why. What is your latest Hive? Yeah, okay, talked about that one here just a second ago. Milligs, JP Morgan was fined $900 million for manipulation in the silver markets. They make more money for bad behavior than the fines they received. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case there, right? And it should be that way to stop that is if you get fined by somebody, right, for whatever reason, that CEO has to go. You're out, right? Or at least 2 strikes and you're out, something like that. Question, is Jimmy Dimon a Democrat? I don't know, so I'm not going to speculate on that. Devil says Bitfarms in the low $1 range will be an automatic buy. Yeah, if it gets, I don't think it's going to get down that far. All right. Rasamir, question, from a market cap standpoint, how much money has been pumped into BTC every cycle, and why do you think that this time will extend? Thanks. Good question. I don't know how much money was pumped into it, but obviously we've seen the market cap of Bitcoin, right, get much higher each time as it has gone on. The reason I think we will get into an extended cycle, potentially, because of all the adoption that we have seen here. We've seen ETFs, we've seen Strategy and other companies buying up Bitcoin. We've seen companies working on instruments also like Block, Square, I think is another one. Jack Mahler's company 21 is also trying to buy up Bitcoin. You got also Trump family there trying to buy up Bitcoin. It's all of these things. Other countries buying it up as like crazy as well. Sovereign funds are buying it. All of this stuff is happening here more so than we have in the prior cycles. That's why I think we've also seen a difference in Bitcoin, the way it has traded. So if you look back to 2021, right, just look at the chart. You can see during the bull run in 2021, we had Bitcoin. Obviously, we had that China FUD happening there. If you take that out, but overall, if you look at the chart on the daily, you can see that we had like 5 times where Bitcoin dropped like 30% within like a couple of days, and then it got up to new all-time highs. Okay. This time around, we've seen Bitcoin get to 72,000 before the halving event, which has never happened, where Bitcoin got to a new all-time high before a halving event in Bitcoin. So that was one instance there. Number 2 instance is we've seen a much longer time frame for not only Bitcoin price to go up in value, but also we've seen it where Bitcoin takes a much longer time frame to go down in percentage-wise, right? So the last 2 times we've had it in the last year and a half was when Bitcoin got to a new all-time high at 72,000. It took like 4 or 5 months for it to get down 30-some%. And then we went on a nice rally, right? Got up to 100,000 roughly. And then we've seen it here from basically January through April, where Bitcoin, again, 4 months more or less, it took it to go down 30%. So we're seeing that extension happening here where Bitcoin becomes less volatile over time. As more money flows into it and more institutions, more adoption, everything else happens at that point, you're seeing that happen here. So that's some of the reasons why I think we're going to be in an extended cycle here. If we hold this line here, we actually go up further from here. That would be, I think at that point would be a clear indication that we are in an extended cycle. But we won't know that until we are through it, right, in the next couple of weeks, couple of months. All right, Midwest Thailand here. Do you think the market will start going up tomorrow or keep going down so we can buy more? I think it will start going up. We'll see it tomorrow, but I think right now, based on what we're seeing here, I think we're going to go up. All right. Milligs? Until someone at JP Morgan goes to jail, this behavior will continue. Yeah, I would agree with you there. Up Magic question. There's a 3,300 acres data center going into Pinal County, Arizona. Do you know if it's tied to any mining companies or what it's going to be used for? Is it, geez. I thought I saw something about it. I'm not going to speculate, but I thought it was either going to be for part of Stargate as well. Google These are the ones that I'm thinking of right now off the top of my head. Google, Stargate, who else was in there? But it's none of the miners here. I don't think that none of the miners have a, I could be wrong on that. It's because 3,300 acres. It could be somebody. I would have to look into it. I'm sorry, but I would have to look into it. All right. Nibble. If the rumor that Bitfarms has received an offer for 165,000 kilowatts a month is true, then Ben's thesis about getting a deal of 180 per kilowatt a month is correct this far. I saw that there's a rumor running around as well. I'm not sure if that rumor is true, so I didn't report it or I didn't talk about it. Right? We want to see actual releases there on that. Tej says, Seb, just thought I'd say hi. I hope you're good, buddy. The bottom is in. BTC to the moon. Okay, that's awesome. Thanks for coming in, Tej. Nibble. A while ago, some people on your channel stated that there was a rumor that TeraWolf approached Bitfarms with some type of a partnership or offer. What source did they get from? That I don't know. Yeah, I saw that as well. That was last week. I don't know. And I didn't see anything myself. All right, as Michael Stats says, I hope I can accumulate 10,000 Bitfarms before they hit $10. That will bring my account to 6 figures. Awesome. I hope you can too. Sadie, again, thanks so much for the likes. Shabham Goal. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm 35% down on Mara. Should I exit? That's going to be up to you. Right. I haven't been happy with Mara for, gosh, the last probably 2-3 years or something like that. If you've been watching my streams here, you know that I've been kind of bashing them a little bit, right, with their operations and things like that. That's going to be completely up to you. Depending when you got into it. I don't know when you got into it, whether you got into it here recently or a long time ago, but that's going to be up to you. I think there are better companies currently that are in there, but Mara could surprise us. I mean, they do have a huge hodl position in Bitcoin. But that's up to you. Okay, now, I agree with CryptoVisor that BTC will probably has more room to the downside, but I don't think we're staying there for an entire year. Okay. Richard, I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of hearing about this market bubble BS. My entire portfolio is flat. This actually feels more like a recession year. I mean, Bitcoin wise, yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's been flat. AI, BTC miners have actually done pretty good here this year. They're up huge. But yeah, I can see your point there. All right, Rob, did you sell crypto wallets and earn 350? Okay, that's a, there might be a scam there. In the CD 4K, yeah, that's a, okay, we got some spammers here. All right, if you guys can block the spammers or something like that, report them, that'd be great. As Marcus says, this is time to accumulate. The bear cycle will be a greater time to accumulate. Your portfolio will thank you in 2028. That is also true. I live by that also, by the dips. That's in Cleanspark's earnings. What are your expectations? Talked about that earlier, right? I think EPS, they won't be positive on EPS without the FSB impact on it. Big thing I'm looking for, though, is AI narrative, right? What is their stance going forward? Where are they at with it all? Where are their sites right now? Which sites could be used for AI? That's the thing I'm looking for there as well. All right, Rob says, I predict Trump will tweet about Bitcoin tomorrow. That would be good if it's as long as it's positive news, right? And Rob says, don't listen to the CryptoVisor. Give him a thumbs down on his videos. Okay, never looked at CryptoVisor's videos there, so I'm not even sure who that is. Okay, Cliff says Project Blue in Pima, Connecticut, or Pima County, Arizona, AWS. Okay, so that's AWS. All right, P-Invest, what did you buy? Last week I bought Cleanspark and Bitfarms. I got 400 shares of Bitfarms and 100 shares of Cleanspark on Friday. So wouldn't that be something that was the bottom of that stuff? That'd be a pretty good get at that point. Wish I would have had more capital to buy into it. But it is what it is. We bought some. We'll see where things go here. I got one more coming in here, and we'll probably call it a day. P-Invest also. We have been in a bear market for the last 2 years. I wouldn't really say it's been a bear market. I mean, NASDAQ, Dow Jones have been going up here. Bitcoin has also gone up from where it was 2 years ago. So I wouldn't say it's a bear market. It's been underwhelming. You could say that, right? Compared to what we've seen in other cycles with Bitcoin. So that's why that's another little checklist that makes me think that this cycle is going to be different, where we might have an extended cycle. But we'll see on that one. Uh, okay, Rob says CryptoAdvisor is a bear against Bitcoin. Okay, all right. So we're getting good back in pro case and not so pro case. All right. P Invest. Can we get a partnership announcement during earnings from CleanSpark? Oh gosh, I don't know. It'd be great if they did, right? I mean, they do have, 33 sites or something like that right now that are operational across 4 states and 5 states now that they've bought into Texas as well. So that would be great to hear. But why wait until earnings? Why not report that before? But maybe you want to wait until you get some actually good market conditions, right, to help you out there. All right, Rob says he constantly every day has been saying BTC has completed its 4-year cycle and that there is no extended cycle. Okay. Well, so that's definitely a different, how do you say that? Differing opinion, right? Which is fine. I'm not saying that I'm correct and then he's wrong, because he could be right and I could be wrong. But just things that I'm seeing here, I think we might be in an extended cycle. As I say to you guys, time will tell. Rob says, go Bitfarms and BTC next week. I'd love to see that as well. And Hive too. Yeah, I want nothing but for all these guys to go, whether it's Hive, Bitfarms, whoever it is. I want those things all to go well for you guys, so we all can make a lot of money here in the next possibly year or two. Okay, this market says the CryptoAdvisor is actually bullish right now on Bitfarms. Well, Bitfarms has come down quite a bit here, so that kind of makes sense. All right, we're going to call it a day. We'll see what happens tomorrow with Bitcoin miners, everything else. The boycott on JP Morgan Chase, and yeah, we'll talk about it at that point. All right, thank you so much for coming in. Like I said, I hope you guys had a great weekend. Maybe this week is going to be a better week for us than what we have had in the past year. Let's see. P Investors, Mike Alfred said we've been in a bear market for 2 years. Forgot why. Okay. Sadie, you're very welcome as always. Thank you as well for coming in here. Greatly appreciate you guys all and ladies. Love you all. I hope you guys have a great week. And it's going to be a short week because we got Thanksgiving. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.